Okay. I want to also give you an example because you might see this as well, where you need to calculate mean, standard deviation, and variance if you're given a frequency table. But not just any frequency table, but a frequency table with grouped values. Okay, so this would be maybe grouped or containing intervals. All right, so what you'll notice is that typically you wouldn't have this middle column of midpoints. You would just be given a class. And so the datums in a data set, the number that would be between 0 and 2, there was one of them. The number of datums between 3 to 5, there were 6 of them. The number of datums that were between 6 and 8, there were 10 of them, and so on. So, how do you calculate the mean, the standard deviation, and the variance? Well, what you need to do is calculate the midpoints of each class, and then you use this as your list of datums, and this with the frequency. And then you calculate mean and standard deviation and variance, just like you have been already. But let me show you how to use the calculator to maybe get these midpoints. All right. So first with Texas Instruments, go to the list editor. So what you want to do is your first list, you're going to have all the lower bounds for each interval. So notice I've got 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Here's 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And then the second list is all the upper bound numbers, 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. So 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. And then I skipped a column for the midpoint, and then I put the frequency after that. So I skipped a column for the midpoint, and then I put the frequencies after that. Okay. So what I would do is program list 3 to be the average of these two. So to find the average between two numbers is you add the two numbers and you divide by 2. So what we're going to have is we're going to have list 1 plus list 2, and then divided by 2. So make sure that you encapsulate list 1 and list 2 in parentheses. Otherwise, it's not going to calculate the midpoint correctly. So if you hit enter, now you have your list of midpoints, right? 1 is between 0 and 2. 4 is between 3 and 5. 7 is between 6 and 8. I know, and you're probably thinking, well, Dr. Morales, I saw that right away. I don't need the calculator for that. What if you're given numbers that aren't as easy to determine what the midpoints are, right? I'm giving you a simple example so that you can see how it's done, okay? So here's your list of midpoints in list 3, and here in list 4 is your frequency. And so now you just need to do one variable stats on list 3 and list 4. Okay, so we'll go to stat, calc, one variable stats. Now instead of list 1, we'll change that to second and list 3. And the frequency list is in list 4. And if I hit calculate, okay, there's my sample mean, 7.577, sample standard deviation of 3.501, okay? And if I square that, I'll get the variance. Now over here with the NumWorks calculator, so the NumWorks calculator doesn't have like a single list editor. It's got lists in different places. So I would actually maybe use lists in different places to do different things. So far we've been doing a lot with the statistics app, but I want to now point your attention to the regression app. And again, I'm kind of winging it here, but I think this will work. So let's click OK. So here's the list of lower bound values, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And then the upper bound values of 0, 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17 are what I put here under column Y1. So we have column X1, this is our lower bound. Column Y1, these are our upper bounds. So I'm going to calculate the midpoints over here in column X2. Okay, so I just need to have X2 selected, click OK, fill with formula, click OK, click empty, and then I'm going to put in a very similar format of what I just put in with the Texas Instruments. So I have to put left parentheses, shift alpha 2, so that'll put us X1, we need to put a 1 there, plus shift alpha, now we need to put in a Y1, Y1 parentheses, divided by 2. Okay, so here's our list of midpoints, right? 1 is the midpoint between 0 and 2, 4 is the midpoint between 3 and 5, 7 is the midpoint between 6 and 8, and so on. All right, so use the regression app to calculate your midpoints. Now let's click home and now go to the statistics app. And the statistics app, has a column for frequency, which you need to get the stats on. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this column, V1, we're going to set that equal to column X2 that we just calculated. So come up here to V1, click OK, put fill with formula, hit empty. Now let's say you forgot maybe what that's called and you didn't want to exit out of here. I think if you hit this variable button and we go to lists and hit OK, you can see here's the different lists we've put in so far. So X1 was our lower bounds, Y1 was our upper bounds, and here X2, that was our midpoints, right? 1 was between 0 and 2, and 4 was between 3 and 5. So now we can just we can select X2 and click OK, and it's going to put it there. So I think it's going to fill this column with those midpoints. There we go. And now we can just go over to the Stats tab. And then scroll down. We have a sample mean of 7.577, a sample standard deviation of 3.501. And then if you took 3.501, took this value and squared it, you have your sample variance, which is 12.254. Okay. So the NumWorks calculator, you need to do a little bit of a roundabout way, but we're going to be using that regression app, this regression app later. So you might as well know that it exists and how it's formatted just a little differently now. Okay, and so those are the values that we calculated here. So this is really a demonstration on how you can use it with your calculator and to show that if you've got a grouped frequency table like this, you have to calculate the mean, the standard deviation, and the variance based off of the midpoints of each of these different intervals. Okay, so I've shown you how to do that. Let me know if you have any questions.